Approve the following minutes. The minutes of the Special Board of Education meeting, executive session of May 14th, 2025. The minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of May 14th, 2025. And the minutes of the Special Board of Education meeting, executive session of May 21st, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Showers, Mr. Foote, any discussion?
I do.
Yep.
And C, the minutes for the Special Board of Education meeting, executive session, May 21st. I did mention at the beginning of that meeting, I was wondering why I didn't have a hard copy of the agenda. And I was basically told that it was emailed to me, but
Okay.
it's not reflected in the minutes. And also, per Robert's rules, and most of the meetings that I've been to, whether it's a town meeting, a Lions meeting, or this meeting, usually there's a, I won't be able to find, but usually there's an agenda. And I do believe that it states in Robert's rules that, let me get it here. While Robert's Rules of Order doesn't explicitly mandate a hard copy of the agenda for every public meeting, it strongly encourages using a detailed agenda and distributing it to attendees. The key is ensuring attendees are informed about the topics to be discussed and the order of business. So I would behoove this Board of Education that when you're going to put a meeting together, that there's an agenda for each board member, and even though the public's not there, there's at least a hard copy, not utilizing the excuse that it got emailed to you. Thank you.
Duly noted. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Motion carries. And then the minutes of the special meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education Policy Committee of May 14th, 2025. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Kelly and
Lou.
Lou. Okay. Any discussion? All right, and the only ones voting on this one are the committee members. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4, student representatives. We have Fallon with us tonight.
Hi everyone, glad to be here. Ava apologizes that she can't be here tonight for our final meeting, but she wanted to thank you all for giving her the opportunity to be the voice for our fellow students and our school. At our last meeting, you asked if we had a mock car crash before prom. After asking Mr. Holtz, we learned that we haven't done one for 3 or possibly even 4 years. We asked senior students in student council their thoughts, and they enjoyed Stephen Emps, the man we talked about last time, our motivational speaker, and felt that that was sufficient for prom. For some senior activities, prom was at the Grand Oak Villa on May 30th. Seniors were dismissed early and to have time to get ready. Students had a great time dancing and enjoyed the Tangled theme. Students went to their annual Holiday Hill field trip on May 23rd. Throughout the day, students had lots of fun with fellow THS students and kids from other schools. They got to enjoy delicious food and participate in several group games and other activities. Senior dinner is currently happening downstairs in the cafeteria. The seniors and their families are watching a compilation video of their time in Plymouth schools created by August Fortunato, as well as having Olive Garden dinner. And it's fancy.
Nice.
Sports awards were last night in the auditorium. All teams, as well as their families, were invited to attend. Some awards given were Coaches Award, MVP, Sportsmanship Award, Varsity Pins, and letters were also handed out. One highlight from last night was Taylor Freemuth and Sarah Barty getting their names added to all state banners in the gym. Congratulations. Afterwards, everyone was invited to ice cream social in the cafeteria. Academic awards were also held yesterday in the morning in the auditorium. Some awards given to students were subject-specific awards: the Principal's Medal for Achieving High Honors, the Susan B. Anthony Social Justice Award, Leadership Award, Military Awards, and even scholarships. Tyler LaChance was rewarded a final time for being for being valedictorian. Congratulations, Tyler. On May 28th, students from the THS Drama Club attended the annual Seven Angels Halo Awards. Joan Lopez, Sarah Marks, Ava Sophia, and the THS Run Crew got nominated for awards, with Ava winning Best Comedic Actress in a Female Role in a Musical. Congratulations, Ava. Students loved attending and can't wait to go next year. On May 21st, the THS Unified Buddies had their final event of the year, their semi-formal. Students got all together with their fellow buddies, danced, sang, colored, took pictures at a photo booth, and spent quality time together. It was an amazing experience, and we love to do it again. Seniors in band had their final music banquet at the East Street Eatery. Sponsored by Mr. Keene and Friends of Music, families and students were invited. At the event, 18 awards were given to deserving seniors for their dedication and hard work. An alarming number of birds have been hitting the floor-to-ceiling windows in the cafeteria. Since you heard about Francis last month, you should know that THS students take good care of the wildlife that calls the area around our school home. We've already met with Mr. Holtz and began researching solutions for our problem. A strong contender is a film used for large commercial buildings with small dots spaced every 2 inches in a grid pattern. We'll let you know more about our progress next school year.
Great.
Our new vice president is Tiana Avalon. Tiana, could you please stand? Aside from being a phenomenal person, she's a rising junior and served as a secretary-treasurer for a student council this year. Tiana is a varsity athlete in 3 sports and part of 6 clubs. Tiana's favorite subject is math, and she was this year's recipient of the Rotary Youth Leadership Award. Thank you, Tiana. Next year, I'll be rising to the role of president. Together, Tiana and I will continue to share news from our school and accomplishments, as well as bring issues we're facing to you. Thank you for a great year. Can't wait to do it again.
Thank you, Fallon.
You're very welcome.
If you could hang around for just a little bit, we're going to be
course.
doing some presentations, and we have a little something for you. Thank you. All right, and that moves us on to the presentations. Mr. Falcone.
So our first presentation is going to be done by Ms. Loveland for Para-Educator of the Year.
Do you want her to come up with me?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Nicole, come on up. This is really your spotlight, not mine. All right, so it is a true honor to be here tonight as we recognize and celebrate an outstanding member of our school community, Nicole Zolo, our Paraprofessional of the Year.
Sorry, I don't want to block you.
Nicole serves in our STAR program, working closely with students with varying high needs and complex challenges. Her work is not only tireless, it is compassionate, thoughtful, and deeply impactful. She forms meaningful connections with her students by noticing the small, important details: birthdays, competitions, favorite foods, least favorite classes. She demonstrates just how much she genuinely cares. These seemingly small moments build powerful relationships, and for Nicole, are simply part of how she shows up every day. She is also a model of flexibility and calm under pressure. Whether navigating an ever-changing schedule, stepping in during staff shortages, or supporting a student in crisis, Nicole is always ready to respond with confidence, kindness, and composure. Her skill in de-escalation and her gentle, respectful approach are qualities that our students respond to in remarkable ways. Beyond her expertise, Nicole brings a bright, uplifting energy to our school community. Her presence makes our building stronger, safer, and warmer. Nicole, we're incredibly lucky to have you on our team. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And next up, we have Mr. Holtz for our Teacher of the Year. Maybe Ms. Hurd as well, or or maybe just Mr. Hiltz.
Good evening. I first want to apologize for our attire. I would not normally dress like this for a moment.
Beautiful.
If you were to ask me if a teacher could possibly be double booked for something like this, I'd be like, yeah, it's possible. If they said it was Ms. Afka, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. We are facilitating our senior dinner, which is, they're waiting on this before they go get ice cream. So they're pretty excited. Mrs. Kate Avcali is celebrating her 10th year as an English teacher here at Terryville High School. And in that time, she has worn more hats than most educators will in a lifetime. From department head to class advisor, yearbook to newspaper, just a few of her official roles. The truth is, Kate can't say no to helping. She naturally steps into any gap she sees, taking on countless unofficial responsibilities to ensure that our staff and students get the best experience possible every day. Having multiple roles is a good thing for Kate, as she is a planner. Like, that is what she is. Whether it's organizing a school trip to Europe, coordinating an event like tonight's senior dinner, or planning each day's lessons down to the smallest detail, Kate has a rare talent for managing moving parts with precision and grace. She is easily one of the hardest working individuals I have ever met, and I'm convinced she doesn't sleep. It's the only way she accomplishes all that she does. Each year, our committee carefully reviews the list of exceptional educators for Teacher of the Year. This year, before the nominations were presented, I told the group I wasn't leaving the room until we all decided Kate was it. My unwavering support came not only from her years of dedication, but especially from the transformation she made in her classroom this year. As a side note, I didn't have to lobby too hard when the nominations came out and the long list of students, staff, and parents gave their take on it. I could kind of sit back and relax. Kate has always poured herself into her students, often given more than most would think possible. But this year, after much reflection and professional growth, she made a bold shift in her teaching philosophy. Her new goal was simple but profound: create dynamic, student-centered learning opportunities and get the heck out of the way. It takes a deep understanding, thoughtful planning, and tremendous self-awareness to move away from a teacher-led model. Kate embraced this challenge fully, and as a result, her classroom has become a space where students are more engaged, curious, and independent than ever before. The level of productive struggle that she allows and the ability to skillfully support with just the right question or piece of feedback is nothing short of inspiring. Beyond her classroom, Kate is affectionately known as Class Mom. Her daily interactions with students go far beyond teaching about author's purpose or writing structure. She teaches kindness, patience, and empathy. She builds relationships with students to the point they trust her for guidance and reassurance. Her students know her compassion for them is genuine, and they go out of their way to show their appreciation. A most recent example of this was at Friday's prom, when over a dozen students stayed well past the event to help clean up, something that the local police officer said he had never seen before. Kate is more than a teacher. She is a cornerstone of our school community. Her dedication, innovation, and heart are unmatched. Congratulations.
No need.
A lot of energy.
Yep.
It was a welcome instruction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to congratulate the 5 individuals who will be retiring from our district at the end of the year. We have Dr. Bonnie Downey Jenkins, who is currently a writing teacher at Eli Terry. I've known her in a number of different roles throughout the years. We have Monica Negrin, who is a Spanish teacher at Eli Terry. We have Karen Robitaille, special ed teacher here at Terryville High School. Mark Scanziano, PE teacher here at Terryville High School, and Hetty Koenig, special ed teacher here at Terryville High School. Some of those individuals weren't able to attend this evening's meeting, but we are glad to have Bonnie and Hetty here with us tonight. If you two could stand, please. So in our school district, we have so many people that play roles in making school a great place for children to learn and grow. And all 5 of these individuals have had a big part in doing that. Their professionalism, commitment, and everyday contributions have had a significant impact on our schools and our school community. Specifically, these 2, though, I've worked with in the past. With Bonnie, I worked with her as the assistant principal at Fisher Middle School at the time, and then Eli Terry Junior Middle School when we shifted over. She was my science teacher at the time. But if you asked me, one thing I'll remember Bonnie for, it's her desire to teach CPR and first aid to as many children as possible in our school community. So Bonnie, thank you very much. And then for Hetty, I worked with Hetty while I was the principal here at Terryville High School. And what people probably don't know about Hetty is she actually started our transition program. She was one of the first people that, I'll read that, thank you. She was one of the first people that took our 18 to 21 at the time, and now it's 22 program, and she built it from nothing. And so I give a lot of credit to these 2 because the impact they've had on our school community has been pretty significant. And then Justin, so what I have on Bonnie is CPR classes for 30 years, 13 lives saved by students, first nationwide middle school program to certify in the use of defibrillator, won 2 national awards from the American Heart Association. I don't know, is the next part 2? Oh,
No, that's from the.
well, those are your notes for later?
You don't want to read that.
Okay, so, but again, the contributions have been significant, and on behalf of the Board of Education, the whole entire school community, for all 5 of our people retiring this year, congratulations, enjoy your retirement, and thank you.
Okay, and finally, we have our student representative. Both Ava and Fallon have been invaluable to us this year. They have brought to us not only the good news and the accomplishments of our students, but they have also brought forward problems to us, which is what we've long been asking for. And we really do appreciate it. We don't want to just hear the good news. We want to hear, if our students are struggling with something or there's something that they perceive that they need, we want to be able to work on that. And it's been interesting because they always come with a problem that also usually has a solution attached to it that they've already figured out. So it's just a testament to the kind of students that we have, that they are problem solvers. So Fallon, we have a little gift for you.
Thank you.
Okay. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to recess at 7:20 p.m. in recognition of the Paraeducator of the Year, Teacher of the Year, retirees, and current student representative.
So
Ms. Lucian?
Second.
Mr. Showers? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Tech will take a group picture of the Paraeducator of the Year, Teacher of the Year, the retirees, Fallon, and us as well. So if all those people could gather in the front, That would be great, and then our tech department can take a picture. Okay, let's resume regular session at 7:29 PM. And we are on to item 7, school climate survey. Mr. Falcone and Ms. Malullo.
Thank you very much. If the board doesn't mind, could we present from there, because we can't really see what's on there, and I feel bad for the parents and the community members, because it's so hard to see with the glare.
Yeah.
So, if that's okay?
Well, you can have them put their chairs this way.
Just angle this one. This one's fine.
Yeah, there's so few of you. If you want to, this one is pretty clear.
Yeah, just bring some.
Well, I didn't mean that as it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. If there was 30 of you, it'd be kind of hard.
All right,
If you are going
You're
to come up here,
dedicated.
just bring some sunscreen.
Audiovisual aids 101.
so all schools throughout Connecticut, all public schools, are doing school climate surveys, or they've done a school climate survey at some point. This aligns to a requirement, the Connecticut School Climate Policy, which tonight will be in front of you to approve. It's kind of a required policy because it has to be in place by July 1st, 2025. The purpose of our climate survey was to identify some strengths in our schools and also some focus areas. And we conducted the survey across all 4 of our schools, and our stakeholders were all students with the exception of the pre-K through 2 students who we just felt it wasn't age appropriate for them to fill out a survey. But grades 3 through 12, all of our parents and all of our certified and non-certified faculty and staff. And so that's kind of the scope of what you're going to see. And the board is provided with the actual survey results, and those will be posted on our website for everyone to see. It's quite lengthy when you go through each school, so it will all be posted on our website.
As you know, each school had a survey done by, like Brian said, parents, teachers, and students other than Plymouth Center. And each school then looked at the results and came up with some strengths that they saw and also some focus areas for next year. The focus areas will be what builds that school climate plan that will be built with a committee next year. So for Plymouth Center, they found their strengths were effective communication, families felt comfortable interacting with staff, teachers are dedicated, it's a safe, supportive environment. The focus areas they want to look at are more family involvement opportunities, which I think has been discussed here, I don't think that's any surprise. Professional development relevance, which is going to be a theme throughout most of the buildings, and management of challenging behavior. And when we talk about challenging behavior, it's not just in special education, it's just in the regular ed classroom as well, because there's a lot of challenging behavior in classes these days. For Fisher, their strengths were a safe environment, students feel supported by teachers, there's a job satisfaction there by the teachers, and there's knowledgeable teachers as well. Focusing for Fisher is going to be on student relationships and peer treatment, just being kind to one another. We know that age is quite the age and they need some teaching behind that. Again, managing with challenging behavior, just like Plymouth Center, and the professional development relevance. And when we talk about professional development relevance, we mean just for every type of teacher and related staff to have something that's very much applicable to them, because I know sometimes the teachers on board will know this, that sometimes you go to professional development that doesn't quite apply to you. We want to make sure it's relevant for every person, every staff member within the district. For Eli Terry, the strengths were a safe and positive learning environment, respectful teacher and student relationships, high academic standards, teachers are dedicated, there's great communication, and then they're going to focus on, just like Fisher, student relationships and peer treatment, because again, middle school is also a challenging time. Creating a sense of student belonging, and again, managing challenging behaviors. And Terryville High School, the strengths that came out in the survey were high academic standards and student expectations, a safe and positive learning environment, respectful teacher and student relationships, teachers are dedicated, there's effective school communication, all great things, and they're going to choose to focus on creating an atmosphere that's welcoming and inclusive of others' differences, family involvement opportunities, which is probably more challenging when you get older the student, and again, professional development.
So this survey is the first of many steps that are going to take place. Our policy has to change as of July 1st to align to these things. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to share out these results, obviously with the board, and then to the community, and let everyone know the results of our survey. That will happen probably tomorrow morning. Then after that, this summer, our administrators have some work to do. They have to create a draft of a school climate plan that hits these focus areas. So we've decided on what focus areas based on the data we should focus on and look at. So they're going to create a draft of a plan. And they also this summer have to create a committee within their schools that deals and addresses school climate. I also have to create one for the district. So we're going to have a district school climate committee and individual-based school climate committees. From there, that draft is going to be proposed to those committees. They're going to finalize it. They might add to the action plan. They might make adjustments to the focus area after they look at the data. So that's going to happen in September. It really is going to be September and possibly October, it depends. But throughout the year, that committee is going to meet as a district-wide committee and within their schools, and they're going to implement and discuss those action plans. And then at the end of next year, around May, we're going to send a survey back out, and we're going to see how we progressed in our school climate plan. This is happening in every public school in Connecticut. So that's kind of where we are. We don't have action plans yet. That's work that we're going to do this summer in creating those drafts. And then it's going to be working with individual teams in each school to finalize those plans and put those action plans in place. And then we'll see those results.
And the state required that the action plans are finalized by December 31st. So there is time next fall for the committees to meet and finalize the plans.
And that's really all we have right now for you with regards to the survey, because there's a lot of work our administrators need to do with this, and our teachers, and those committees need to be created. So does anyone have any questions for myself, for Beth, with regard to the climate?
The state mandated,
Yes.
Part of the new school climate policy.
unfunded mandated, right?
Well, they're taking away, if you look at the policies, they're recommending that we no longer have a bullying policy, that this would be encompassed under that. And to be honest with you, this is a policy I don't mind, because it truly is going to drill down to each individual school what the concerns are. For example, we've had parents that come and stand here and talk about being more involved in their children's education. And the data shows that there's relevance to that, and it needs to be a focus area. And now we are going to be held accountable to show the improvement in that at the end of next year. So this one I don't mind, but because this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a ton of work there.
It's a lot.
There's a lot of work, and you can just get 3 or 4 individuals in there that are negative, and that's gonna, that's my concern about any of these things that are put up there.
Well, whenever you do a survey, if Greg Showers goes on vacation with his wife on a beautiful cruise and they have a great time and everything's perfect, he's probably not gonna go on to Expedia and write something. But if he has a terrible time on that cruise, the bathroom overflows and the food's terrible, he gets food poisoning, he's going to put some sort of a comment on Expedia. We understand that too. There's a balance though. We have enough people that have responded, whether it be staff, some of the students that responses were interesting, and parents, that we have a good idea of what the trends are that we need to focus on, so.
You already have a climate committee in place, right? So you would be just continuing that work with some different guidelines?
We do not. We do not have a climate committee in place. Some schools do. We do not have a district-wide climate committee.
You don't have building level climate committees?
Some schools do. It's not consistent.
Oh, okay, so then it's a good thing
It's
this
a great-
policy is being put in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we are on to item number 8, which is public comment. We will start with our in-person public. Please come to the podium, write your name and address, and say your name and address,
There we go.
and share your thoughts.
Virginia Canine, 18 Adams Drive. Here we are, June 4th, nearly the end of the school year. I have come before this board multiple times requesting a kindergarten graduation be implemented. Another year has passed and still no kindergarten graduation. I've also come before you with concerns about how the age cutoff for pre-K was implemented by 2 administrators without any written policy, without any conversation or notice to parents or this board, choosing to only follow portions of a law implemented for kindergarten on their own accord. Just doesn't sit right with me. Nothing has been said or done about either of these topics. However, a brand new member gets on this board and in one of his first few meetings immediately makes a motion to rescind a policy about attendance at meetings and who can be president, vice president, secretary, etc. of this board. Red flag that a brand new member is so concerned about this, and also very frustrating that this is what the board finds is important to deal with instead of addressing things brought to you by parents with children in the schools. If he can make a motion like he did, why aren't board members making motions or having conversations about things brought before them? I think that it's a shame, and to me that says that this board is more about politics than the children. This board should be anything but political. In addition, it's my understanding that behind closed doors, contracts were negotiated for administrators, which included pay raises every year. While I'm not saying that they are or aren't deserved, I think it's very disheartening that we give administrators pay raises while we are cutting staff, supplies, and programs that directly impact the children. Furthermore, where is this money going to be coming from when a budget has already been approved? This is not the time for pay raises, and if it's not too late, I strongly urge you to reconsider these raises and negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie Church, 328 Main Street. I agree with the previous speaker. You've laid off teachers. You've put the janitors out to pasture to be under someone else. They don't have answers. They got it in the mail, a letter. That's cold, and that's hard. And you should all hang your head. I've worked in places and I've gotten laid off. They met with us, not just sent a letter. And I think you need to start valuing the employees you have. You complain if the teachers get a raise. You went in there and you begged for more. The town gave you more. And yet you still had to get rid of teachers. But you didn't care. Go into an executive session, rate yourselves, and give yourselves a raise. It wouldn't have hurt you to hold off for a year. We have no steep grant this year. That's the town side. We have roads that are deplorable. We have children who don't even know what happiness is. And that's something you should be really concerned with. The reason I know this, my daughter's working with senators and representatives on this issue. They have been into the computers. That's the thing. And that's their socialization. We're in trouble. And if parents want to come into a school, let them in. Those are their kids. You want to blame them when the kids aren't learning. You want to blame them when the kids misbehave. You say it's their fault. Well, if you're not letting them in the room, guess whose fault it is? Right here, you guys. And it's something that you need to all look at. Because you're here in the business, the same thing as any other place you walk into. The customer. The customer is those children. They are the most important thing. And whenever there's a new program being offered, they're not making you pay it out of your pocket, Pat. What they're trying to do is figure out how to save our kids. When kids are 8 and 9 years old committing suicide, those are the things that you need to look at. Those are reality. And it's happening because they're not socialized. Everything is around a computer. And that's that's what they take as their socialization. When they're home, they're on it. I'm very much blessed. My daughter only allows my grandson an hour a day. But I think everyone needs to look at these things and do what's right. Take half of a raise. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, do we have any online public comment? Oh, when I remember, there's none. Okay. We are moving on to item number 9, Superintendent's Update. Mr. Falcone.
Thank you very much. On May 22nd, Terryville High School held its annual scholarship night. All totaled, our seniors received over $270,000 in one-time and renewable scholarships. I want to take a moment to thank our local businesses, community members, and various organizations for their generous support and their investment in our children. There's also been a change in the international field trips that have been approved by the board. We approved a trip to Puerto Rico for April of 2026. There's not enough student interest to run that trip. So that trip has been canceled. However, the trip that the board approved at our last meeting to Europe had a great, strong interest. There's a lot of kids. 25 families showed up at that meeting for that field trip. The thing is, the majority of the kids and the parents that showed up are juniors. So if we don't move the trip up a year, those juniors won't be able to attend the trip. So the teacher asked if it's possible to move the trip from April 2027 to April 2026. There wasn't pushback from the parents at the meeting, from what I've been told. The date is changed, the itinerary stays the same, the price stays the same, and everything the board approved stays the same except for the year that they would be going. Right now, the teacher would have 13 students that would go on this trip that are ready to pay a deposit. And she is also opening it up to parents of students that are going if they'd like to go on the trip, similar to when back in the day we went to Japan. We took parents with us as well. So something similar to that to increase the numbers and give everyone the experience. So I want to make sure it's okay with the board to move that trip from April 2027 to April 2026 so that those juniors can go on that trip and not miss out.
Do you need a formal vote or do you need just consent?
I just need consent.
Anybody
It's
have
already been approved.
Was this
so
part of,
it's-
was there another meeting for that Puerto Rico trip besides 2:15 in the afternoon on a weekday? Because that might have been the reason people didn't show up for that meeting.
I don't know. Only 2 students gave a deposit though. And so that, I think that was by the deadline. So I think that's
I
more.
don't think that was promoted very well. The only thing I saw was 2:15 on like a Tuesday afternoon, which many
It needs to be-
families
needs to
would
be
not have
anything.
probably known or been able to attend.
So.
Sorry,
No, that's
on
fine.
topic.
Does anybody have any problems with them moving the date up a year?
Works for me.
Yeah.
You'll still be able to schedule everything.
The company that they're going with will just move the date and they'll be fine.
Okay.
As a reminder, Harry S. Fisher promotion ceremony will be held on Monday, June 9th at 9:30 in the morning. And then the Terryville High School graduation will be held on Wednesday, June 11th at 6 o'clock, rain or shine. If it's nice out, we'll be outside on the soccer field. If it's not, we'll be inside in the auditorium. And then the Eli Terry Step Up program will be held on Thursday, June 12th at 9 a.m. And as we're wrapping up the school year, I'd like to thank a number of different groups that have helped us throughout the year. First, I would like to thank the entire faculty, staff, and administration. As I say every year, we have a special group of people that are working with our children. I would also like to thank the parents, the PTAs, and the various community members who have supported our kids in our schools throughout the year. And finally, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for continuing to move forward with initiatives that have a positive impact on teaching and learning. With that, I'd like to congratulate all of our Terryville High School graduates. I hope everyone has a nice, long, relaxing summer.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the superintendent? Okay. Move on to item 10, unfinished business. We are going to take each one of these as a separate item so that we can discuss if we need to. So for the first one, I would like a motion to approve the Series 1000 Community Board Operations P1006, School Security and Safety, and P1010, Visitors and Observations in Schools. We can do those two together. That's okay? Do I have a motion to approve those? Okay.
So move.
Michelle?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Perugino. Any discussion on those? Anyone? No? All right, seeing none.
I have a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
On P1006,
Yes.
review any warrant or other materials that the Federal Immigration Authority produces to determine who issued such warrant and what warrant or other material authorizes the Federal Immigration Authority to do so. Who's going to do that? And are they going to have a legal background to be able to read the warrant properly?
The answer is no. For the second part of your question, who's going to do that? It's going to be our administrator and Shipman and Goodwin. So let me explain, if you don't mind, if the board will let me explain this policy. So someone shows up to one of our schools, Plymouth Center School, in an ICE uniform outfit, which you can buy on Amazon for, I believe, $15.99. And what this policy says is that we're going to follow the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection standards and the Connecticut Department of Education Immigration Guidance standards and laws. And what they're doing is someone shows up to take a kid out of our school. The policy says that we have to follow and must put in something, it's required in our safety and school security plans that address us dealing with immigration. That's a requirement, that's not an option. The protocol and what this policy is putting into place is, one, I'm going to use Karen as an example. She's there as our ICE agent. And I would go to her as the principal of the school, because that's the person assigned to talk to that agent that we have to assign. And they would ask for identification, just like they would for anyone else that's going to pick up a child. We would then have to ask if there's like a judicial warrant or what the scope of the warrant is, because there's an adult at Plymouth Center School, Karen, that's looking to pick up a child, and she's not on the emergency contact list. We don't know who she is. We don't know anything about her. So we have a stranger in our school that's going to take a child without parent permission. So at that point, the last piece of this, before we let anyone do anything, we call our legal counsel, who will then take a look at that warrant and or whatever that ICE agent has, and they'll guide and direct us on what to do. Either release the child, not release the child. They'll tell us legally what there is to do. But looking past the wording, because I know it's very cumbersome with the words, when you're in the spot and you're Kim Loveland at Plymouth Center, and a stranger comes to pick up a child that's not on any sort of our emergency contact or parental list, we have to have some sort of a protocol to make sure that this is legit. If it's legit and that warrant or judicial order says they're going to take the child, we're going to follow the law. and the person's going to take the child. But we have to go through that protocol and get Shipman involved. When this first came out, I think it was in March. I don't know the dates in the policy. I think it was in March when this first came out. Shipman held an emergency meeting with only superintendents, and it was virtual. And they said, what we need to do, because there's so much unknown in now bringing and allowing ICE to come into schools and to churches, we have to just make sure that we are getting our eyes on whatever documents they have so that we can tell you what to do and guide you, because I'm not qualified to read judicial warrant. And so that was clear. And so that's our guidance is principal identification, ask for the warrant, and then contact the attorney. Actually, they're going to contact me. I'll be on the attorney driving to their school. And then at that point, we'll convene and make sure we're going to make the right decision for whether it be the ICE agent or the child and family. We are going to follow the law. So that's all this is, but it's very heavy with words. So
Has to be done.
And I have another question.
absolutely.
You have the Security and Safety Committee.
Yes.
We currently do have one, but we haven't met. in, what,
We haven't
3
met
years?
in a while yet.
Are you going to have a BOE member on there?
We're going to have, so it's funny because Beth and I were talking today. We have a list of 10,000 things that we have to do. That's one of them. And I said, this is something that I need to do as a superintendent. And it says it in there, that I will be putting that together. It's going to be a Board of Ed member. You were on before. It will probably be you again if that's okay. But it's going to be something we're going to do in September of next year. There's going to be a parent. There's going to be a member from each school. And there will be police department,
with the fire chief,
ambulance,
we had
all those things.
school resource
And I'll work with
officer.
Tony Orsini to organize that. So I see him every Wednesday at Rotary.
Meet
So,
all the school principals.
well, yeah, everyone will be there. The same cast of characters around the table over there will be back. So,
Thank you.
yep.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
It seems like the language in here, it only pertains to immigration issues. So is there a different procedure if, say, the Plymouth Police or the state law enforcement? Would this be the same protocol that you would follow? Because I know everyone freaks out that it's about a kid, but let's say it's a basketball game and you have an adult who's sitting in the stadium. Are we going to block any sort of law enforcement from coming in to get somebody who may be a potential risk to our students?
Just for clarification, you're talking about adults at something, or?
Is this only pertaining to children? This isn't for,
This is about basically taking children from our schools. That's what this is about. For safety and security, we have different protocols in that document that I have to send to the state. It is a confidential document because it deals with safety and security. But if there's someone that's a danger to our schools and our children, the police would be called and they'll address the issue.
so
with
that's
the person.
completely
And-
separate from this?
And so just, if it's say it's a minor, say it's a 17-year-old, they have to be 18 before the police can talk to that minor without their parent being there. So their parent would have to be called and they're present. So we as administration would take the child and they would be in isolation, whether it be in the main office or ever, until the parent got there, then the police and the parent would come in. Kelly, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, I mean, that's fine. And then just to be very clear, because I know there's a lot of, stuff on the news. So is anything in this policy in conflict with any of the new federal guidelines that have been put out, i.e., in some cases, the federal government is suing states and local municipalities, and I certainly don't want to inadvertently put a policy in place that will risk our federal funding.
It's happening right now in certain
Well,
school
that's
districts.
why I'm a little
so
nervous about the language on this.
And I understand. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty. I think Shipman had uncertainty when writing this, and that's why I think they incorporated it into a policy that we already have in place, and they just dealt with what was new. But I think even since then, there's been more changes, and I think we're walking a fine line in a lot of these decisions that we have to make But that's why we'd reach out to the legal counsel and have them make that decision, because I'm not qualified to make that decision.
Well, given that there's a week of school left and we're going to be meeting prior to the new school year started and the uncertainty, I mean, I would feel like maybe we could table this until the August meeting and have a little opportunity to see what happens when the dust settles before we jump into something that we're either gonna have to rescind or that we're gonna lose money on. I don't know if, I believe that's appropriate to table
Absolutely.
something for later.
Absolutely.
Discussion?
The only thing I would say is if they're on either of these policies that said this has to be in place legislatively by July 1st, which the others,
The
not the
other
others,
one does, not
these
this
two
one.
don't, absolutely not. So if the board made the decision to table these policies, that's absolutely appropriate. And Kelly, I don't disagree with you. I mean, things are changing at a pretty rapid pace, and I know schools are in some hot water right now for maybe policies that are put in place or decisions that have been made that might not align with some decisions that have been made. So if that's the decision of the board, I mean, that's really up to you guys.
I make the motion that we table these two policies until we get further clarification.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Could I just ask for clarification? When we say we're tabling it, additional information, would you like Rich Mills to write up something for our August meeting? I could talk to
That
him.
would be perfect.
Is that,
Yeah,
so that would help you with?
I know, because HB 5062 changed some of this, and they voted on another one today that changed some of this.
Yeah.
Right.
So and I'll wait till August, so he doesn't have to do it 3 times and charge us 3 times.
Right. He said, well, this
Yep.
session ends at midnight. We got 4 more hours.
A lot changes in 4 hours, Greg. So I'll have Rich have something for the board on these 2 policies when we return in August. And if we have to hold a special meeting, we could always do that as well. So, okay.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following Series 5000 students P5003 Bullying Prevention and Intervention Policy and Safe School Climate Plan. Do I have a motion?
To discontinue it.
So moved.
I was gonna
I'm sorry, to discontinue it. I apologize, that's my
So
error. Mr. Showers,
Second.
second, Mr. Bourbonnier. Okay, any discussion on that one?
I think that we're replacing it. It's not like we're ending it, so.
Yeah, so, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we will discontinue that one. That one passes. And finally, we have a new policy. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following, Series 5000, P5036 and P5037, Connecticut School Climate Policy and Restorative Practices Response Policy. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Michelle and Lou?
Lou,
Lou, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I said, yep.
correct.
Okay, discussion.
I have some concerns.
Yep.
First concern that I have is, there's really no page number, but it shows the funding that is being done by this, okay? The funding basically states, the school district shall, in its discretion, allocate sufficient funding to satisfy the requirements of this policy for all schools in the district. Such funding shall be distributed accordingly with superintendent approval for assessment and professional development, as well as for school community outreach, training, and technical assistance. So that's basically telling the school district that you're gonna institute this program, but we're not gonna send you any money. At this point in time, is there any dollar figure that's being associated with this so that we have an understanding of next year what this is gonna cost the school district?
So we have Kim Loveland that's going as a trainer to train our people on restorative practice. So that's happening through Ed Advance. So she's getting the training so she could come back. So the hope is that the restorative, I don't know which policy, which one are you reading, Jerry? Is it
P5036.
3.6?
On the second to the
Okay,
last
I didn't know if it was
page.
3.7 or 3.6.
No, 3.6.
So yeah, we tried to get ahead of it in sending Kim Loveland out so she could be a trainer of our staff to save money on the restorative practices piece. With regard to the climate plan, we have to see what these plans require. There's a realistic, there's a reality behind it. I mean, we have only so much money. You're going to hear about that in a little bit from Matt. And these plans and these new climate plans are going to say we need resources in these areas to improve student behavior. And what training are we going to bring in? It's that student behavior is aligned through 3 of the 4 schools. And I would actually say it's in all 4 because when you look at the cell phones at the high school, like that's a behavioral thing that we have to address too. It's a policy. I would look at it as a policy thing, but a behavioral thing. But I can't answer that question right now, Terry. I think we need to see what these plans are asking for, and then I can probably come back with a number. But we have to create those plans first because this is the first step. There's going to be money tied into this for sure.
Well, yeah, so basically what they're doing is they decided to put the cart before the horse, and then you gotta ascertain how much it's gonna cost you as a school district, and you have to implement this program,
With no
whether you
funding.
like it or not, okay? And there's no rules and regulations or stipulations to put this in dictated from the state, okay? Which is, okay, usually stuff's at the top slides down, and by the time it gets to the bottom, you're stuck with it. All right, so this is gonna be a policy that's we're gonna be stuck with it. We're gonna find out in September, October that this could potentially be a funding aspect that we may lose a teacher from it. We may lose a paraprofessional. We may lose a school psychologist. You know, you just look at it down the road because all of a sudden the state wants to align this climate survey with all 169 school districts in this state, okay, without having any parameters on how much money it's gonna cost them. And I hate to tell you, in a small school district, you know, we deal with pennies, okay? We don't deal with millions of dollars, okay? And I tell this to people all the time who I talk to, even before I was on the Board of Education, again. All right, small town Connecticut is getting to the point where we can't afford education anymore. The state's not allocating enough money to us to help with the things that are going on in the state with means of what they want us to do, but yet the bigger cities get all the gravy and we just get the crumbs. So it's getting to the point where I don't know how we're gonna, if this comes out to be where we lose a teacher because of this, because of funding that's not gonna be mandated. What do you want us to do? You know, it's sad. And then when you look at it, this is the school climate committee that's gonna be done. So you're gonna have your school climate specialist, which is Mrs. Loveland. Okay, so in her contract negotiations next, does she ask for a stipend for this?
No, it's not Miss Loveland though. They're in the schools. It's the administration in the schools.
Okay, but I'm just saying, when it comes to contract negotiation, now you're gonna be adding more layers to what that committee is gonna be. So the head of that committee, there's gonna be 4 committees in each, and there's gonna be a committee in each school, which is gonna be 4. So now people are gonna be taking on additional work. And usually what comes with additional work is a little bit more money, okay? And then also, there's gonna be a school climate specialist, a teacher selected by the bargaining representative, a demographically representative group of students enrolled at the school, families of students enrolled, at least 2 members of the school community as determined by the school climate specialist. It goes on and on and on. And I don't know about you, I have plenty of time in my day because I'm retired, okay? But there are people out there that may not have time in their day to make a meeting at 3 o'clock in any individual school, all right? And what happens if an individual from the school committee is chosen and, they miss a meeting, okay? And they don't have any input into that meeting. So nothing against the state, and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to consolidate all the boards of education to work under one program, so that each board of education doesn't have their own little program. The problem is as I stated, they're putting the cart before the horse. Nobody came up with how much is this gonna cost and what is it. I'm not saying that it's gonna be bad for the climate of the school and things that parent really wants to see happening in the school, okay? Because we've all seen it with people that come up at this podium and speak about their concerns about what goes on in these school systems in the town of Plymouth, okay? And I get what they're arguing about. The issue that I have is what is the financial responsibility of the Board of Education towards this? And unfortunately, doesn't seem like anybody has an answer. The state doesn't have an answer, nor does the superintendent, and I'm sure the business manager has no idea. So those are my total concerns about this.
Well, Jerry, let me just say, you're right on everything. And I think the hard part about running a small school district is that the state puts unfunded mandates such as this out there. Again, I agree with this mandate because of what it's actually having us do. I think this is something that overall will be good at the end of the day. But, we don't have a director of curriculum instruction. So if I was able to delegate that responsibility to her to run the school or the district climate committee, well, I don't. There's 2 people at central office, and one of us has to run the climate committee. We also have to do the diversity plan. We also have to run PDAC. We also have to, and we also have to, and we also have to. So in larger districts, you have a lot more resources that can do those things, and you could farm them out to different people. Even an elementary school would have an assistant principal that could support that. We just don't have those types of resources. And you're dead on. We're counting pennies. We're counting pennies. But I think we have to be realistic about what this climate plan and what these climate plans are really going to do, because we don't have the resources other districts might have, whether it be some of the more inner cities and or some of the Gold Coast schools where they're bringing in significant programs to help fix this when they have unlimited funds. So I think we just have to be very reasonable about how we move forward.
I have a comment. We just voted to discontinue the policy 5003, correct?
That's the bullying one.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's going to be replaced by these 2 new policies.
Correct.
We need a policy. We can't just say we're not going to have a policy and we're not going to have school climate, because this whole step about the school climate survey for the parents, for the teachers, for the students, we just can't say, no, we're not going to have anything in place for the upcoming year. Then there's going to be like no rules or expectations for teachers, students, anybody.
And it's required.
I was gonna say, I don't think we have a choice.
There's no choice. And that's what Jerry,
really a
like,
choice.
you just don't have a choice. You have no choice but to
Has to
adopt
be
this by July 1st, 2025. It's legislation. So,
Couple questions?
yeah.
Okay, so in P536, the administrative regulations, it says that there's going to, students, parents, or guardians may file a written report using the challenging behavior reporting form. Is that something new you're gonna have to create? And who is gonna manage the collection and evaluation of these documents? Will that be brought to like the full committee to review and take action on? Or is that gonna be work that falls to a teacher or the principal, or is it gonna be situational maybe?
I don't know. if
So
you-
the challenging behavior form is going to replace the bullying investigation. So it'll still be,
Okay.
it's basically the same kind of investigation protocol.
Okay.
It's just encompasses more a challenging behavior instead of just bullying anymore.
That definition is really
Yes,
loosey
the umbrella
goosey.
is really opening up there. So it'll still be the administration doing the investigation, working with the teachers, the parents, whoever,
Okay.
you know, in the classroom, like what that happens with the bullying. So it'll be the same thing, it'll just be for a broader amount of behaviors now.
Okay, and then for the meetings, I know even last year, I don't know if that was something new that we did in my district or that came out prior to this with the climate committee needing to have representation, certain representation. So for example, you need to have parents on the board, and yet you also need to have people who are employed by the school on the committee. So logistically, that can be challenging because you don't want to have to pay teachers to come to a night meeting, but you need to have parents who will also be available to attend these meetings. And it also says at least 2 members of the school community. So is that just like teachers or other staff? Like, this policy is so vague.
It's a little vague. I don't honestly know about what the school, yes, I think it's anybody involved in the school community that wants to be a part of it. I don't disagree with you about the parent piece. I mean, I obviously wouldn't be able to do something at, 3:00 in the
Right,
afternoon.
but we need to make sure that we are having all of the people who are
Yeah.
supposed to be there actually
Oh, yeah. And I think that's
Able
part of
to
our planning in the summer with the
trying to
administrators.
figure that out.
Actually, those meetings usually take place about 11 o'clock in the morning.
For those,
For school
meetings,
security.
yeah, but this is the climate, that's two
It's
different
different.
things.
We
This is
use
something-
ours, we do ours at a staff meeting, so it's like super early, if that's
Would these
helpful.
committee meetings take the place of the professional development meetings that you have throughout the year?
I
We can
don't,
talk about that topic as opposed to some other things that.
I don't think that's the intention of these. I think they're gonna be separate meetings that we're gonna hold. And again, we have to go through this with the administrative team. This is gonna be part of our summer work with them at our retreats. But we have to figure out the frequency because we wanna be consistent in all of our schools. We also want, time-wise, if Fisher decides to do it at 7 o'clock in the evening, we can't have the high school do it at 2:15 in the afternoon. So we have to figure those things out. And then I don't know whose point it was at this point, but if you're gonna hold teachers and they have to come back at 7 o'clock, the union will most likely have a concern or issue with that if we're not compensating them for their time. So we have to find a time that works, whether it be before school, right after school, or during school, because after that, there is a significant fee when you have 4 or 5 people on a committee, you're paying them their hourly rate per their contract. It could get pricey across the 4 schools. It's just unfortunate, we with these 2 policies, the board's gonna vote on it, but we don't have a choice. It's like it has to be in place by July 1st. So,
When did this come down from the state? Would it come down, today at 8 o'clock this morning?
no, not this morning. Other things came down this morning, not this morning. So we as a school community have known this. We've been working with that Advance. That survey that was done was created at Advance, with that Advance, and with a group of people. So this has been in the works for a while, since 2023. That's when it really started, the conversation of shifting. And I think off of Kelly's point and what Beth said is the paperwork is not just bullying paperwork. That is a definition that is overused or used wrong. So this will be able to encompass the challenging behaviors, so.
So I know we use second step here in the school, so we're gonna be rewriting our social emotional curriculum as well because it uses the incorrect language. Just humorous, I know it's not funny at this point in the year.
But yes, it's on the list.
Do a little tweaking on that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Anyone else? Questions?
All right, so since 2023, this has been being worked on. So for 2 years, nobody has come up with a cost associated with this?
Jerry, we didn't know what it was actually going to be until recently, when we had meetings probably in December, in November at Advance, when they informed us, as the rest, all the schools there, what this is actually going to be. Because I think there was a general idea of this is kind of what it's going to look like, and then the RESCs kind of tightened it up, and that's when we went to the RESCs. And I'm going to tell you, each RESC has a very different climate survey. And I just know that from my own children being in a different district, that there were 4 questions on the Cheshire survey. We had, I don't know how many questions.
I don't remember how many.
Well, it was a lot. It was, I think we had 18 or 27, I don't know, I get to look back. You all have the survey in front of you. So it was done differently by the RESCs, but the idea was out there. They taught us, and then we have put it in place.
Well, my point is that they've been dealing with this for 2 years, but nobody there was not a financial analyst that was in on this meeting, there wasn't an accountant in on this, there weren't business managers that were in that were saying that, well, you're probably looking at a smaller school district, this is what it's gonna cost them. If you look at a mid-sized school district, this is the potential of what it's gonna cost them. And if you look at an upscale school system that has all the resources in the world because they have the money, this is what it's gonna cost them. And more than likely, the upscale is going to be very minimal, where the bottom end is going to be astronomical because of the fact that, as I stated, we deal in pennies. So, that's about it. I am stopping to beat this dead horse.
Anyone else? Okay, great. So we have a motion, and it has been seconded. We have discussed it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hold on, I say yes, but with severe reservations.
Okay, so opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, we are moving on to new business, item number 11. End of year transfers. We do this every year. I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools to work with the business manager in order to make the necessary transfers and expenditures to close the books as of June 30th, 2025, and to expend funds for the fiscal year 2024-2025, and also to be able to utilize the budget 2025-2026 to authorize the superintendent and business manager to expend those funds as needed until the August meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Mr. Perugino.
Second.
Michelle Lucian. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And now item B, rescinding of a policy. I would like to entertain a motion to rescind policy P9024, required 2-year service on the Board of Education to serve in an officer or leadership position. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Showers?
Second.
Ms. Lucian? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
It's a roll vote, Karen.
Yeah, you gotta, on the next page.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, roll, you're right. Sorry about that. Thanks, Greg. Okay, so we're going to do a roll call vote. Mr. Showers?
Yes.
Mr. Bourbonnier?
Yes.
Mr. Foote?
No.
Mr. Zabushka?
Yes.
Mr. Perugino?
No.
Ms. Lucian?
Yes.
Ms. Tilton?
Yes.
Okay, that is 1 to 5 yeses and 2 noes. The motion carries. And then we also have item C, custodian sick time concern. Mr. Falcone.
So and Matt and I are going to kind of take this one on together. When we negotiated the outsourcing of our custodial group's contract, we did meet with them. We discussed everything. We did not mail any letters to the custodians with regard to anything. We actually had conversations with them. But when we negotiated salary, vacation time, and positions, because those are the main areas that we looked at. Matt, was there anything else that we negotiated?
There actually is. So we guaranteed their existing positions for all those that want to make the transition. That was the first thing. Second, we guaranteed the positions at their 2025, 2026 rates of pay. We also guaranteed the employees that they would keep all of their earned vacation time, and for some employees, that's up to 5 weeks. In addition, I negotiated that they would have 2 additional holidays from what the company that they'll be joining have. And I also negotiated that the benefits that they would have the ability to sign up for would be those that the HES management employees receive, which are the highest level of benefits. So those were when we sat and talked with them, I really wanted to make sure that I could protect as much as possible for these employees and still have savings to the district. Like ultimately, this was about saving budget dollars. So, Brian, back to you.
So, yeah, and so the sick time payout is a retirement benefit. It's not something that they have. It's when they retire from the district. So when Matt and I were looking at what needed to be negotiated, that wasn't something we discussed because it's a retirement benefit. In the field of education, when you have sick days, and teachers would know this, they roll over to the next year. Personal time usually doesn't in contracts, but vacation time rolls over, not vacation, sick time rolls over to the next year. With this company, they have a different format on how sick time works. If you need long-term disability, you can purchase that insurance piece, correct?
You can enroll in both long-term and short-term disability programs.
So what happened here is that a number of board members have reached out to myself, and I spoke with Karen about putting together some options that the board could take a look at if they decided to pay out this retirement benefit to the custodians. I have on what I sent you has and I don't know, everyone should have the revised document in front of them where there's more than just 3 options. The top has the current language in the contract and then, or the agreement. And then you have option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think it's important before the board makes a decision or even looks at the options for Matt to discuss where we are financially right now towards the end of the year, so people could understand where we fall with the cost and what we could afford.
So what would be in my report to you this evening is, obviously we're in the final stretch here for 24-25. We have 27 days remaining. We're meeting early for me to have a very good number, right? There's still pretty much the rest of the month to go. My best estimate at this point is we will have a very small surplus. And when I say small, I'm talking about $26,390.55. Jerry, you talk about counting pennies. I try to take it down to the penny.
Could you say that again? Some people are writing it down.
Yeah.
$26,390.55. And that's based on what I know right now on June 4th. I was putting this together this afternoon at 2:30 this afternoon. I will say that every day I do get surprised with an invoice or something that either didn't get to me on a timely basis, or I wasn't aware that it was happening, but now it's in front of me. So as your business manager, I will tell you that this makes me a little nervous, but I did try to account for everything that I know. I literally went through this report line by line to make sure that I was accounting for just about everything.
So I also want to emphasize one thing. I think it was my first or second day working with Matt, the chairman of the board at the time was Walt Seaman. And Walt came and met with myself and Matt. And he was clear that one of the things he tasked us with was the Board of Education can't end the year with a surplus that is the way they were ending. They were ending really high with numbers. We were talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so Matt, myself, Beth, the administrative team, we looked at how we can either utilize that money or what the cuts would be. Over the 4 years of me being a superintendent, we've cut approximately $2 million in our budget. We've also added programs. We've added a foods program at the middle school, a tech ed program, a library media program, STEM programming at both of our elementary schools. We've added and we've cut at the same time. You can see there's nothing else. When we're ending the year, a $27 million budget with $26,000 on June 4th, Matt and I, over the time, with the assistance of some budgets that we've received, we've gotten that number down to where I believe it's respectful and responsible to the community that is having a difficult time. So I think it's important to say. So getting back to this, I put the options in here. I put what each would cost the district. With this, I want you to know that I spoke to Cindy. She couldn't be here this evening, and Cindy and I had a conversation. She was uncomfortable with the first set of options that I sent out, and she requested that I send another set out to the board. I spoke to Karen, and of course, we did that. Cindy was not satisfied with the $25 an hour, $25 per day amount, and she wanted to give as much as possible to this group. So that was Cindy's feeling, and she asked if I could express that at this meeting. So, and now this really is ultimately a board decision.
Does everybody need a moment to look through the options, or have we already done that?
I've looked through them.
I have a comment.
Yep, go ahead.
Matt, encumbered, we have $3 million. And now, but our balance is $217,000, correct? And when I was reading your report, we ran into some problems in the food service with refrigeration.
Go ahead and ask your question.
No, I'm just wondering, I know the problems aren't over.
Okay, so food service and the operating budget are two completely different in budgets and entities.
All right.
So what's happening with food service is a separate, I'll report on that after.
All right.
When we're looking at the operating budget, right? So yes, on this May 31st report, it says we have $217,000. And as I said, I went through today and I tried to find every single thing I knew that was coming through, whether it's encumbered or not encumbered.
Yep.
And that's how I got to my $26,390.55 estimation.
Okay.
And again, it's based on June 4th.
June 4th. All right. No, you answered my question.
Anyone else? Comments, questions?
Do we have, I know we're seeing like there's the number of employees who are impacted in each of these scenarios. So like, for example, 10 years or more would be what would make them eligible for the retirement, correct? Do we have employees who are like within a year or two of retirement that this is like especially like a gut punch to? Or are most of us not quite that far along in there?
I would say where I think it's more of a gut punch, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's there are employees that haven't used their days. They're maxed out or they're close, they have over 100 sick days.
Right.
And they feel like they're losing them.
Because they show up and they don't use their time and they're committed employees and they
Absolutely.
do what they're supposed to do.
And I mean, to be fair to the custodial group too, this is a change they weren't expecting. And so there is one person that is retiring.
To answer your question, Kelly, there is one gentleman who is going to retire
Okay.
at the end of June 30th, and he is going to sign on with the company. He does have the opportunity to, in essence, double dip, right?
Okay.
To my knowledge, we do not have anybody on board that could retire. They're probably 5 years out, so it's not a year or two, it's a little bit,
Right.
it's more on the,
It's
you know, a
not
little
like
bit
they're
farther out
almost
there.
to
It's
the
not like
finish
right
line.
there.
Yeah.
And, Brian used the term the gut punch for folks that had sick time but didn't have an opportunity to use it. We do have a custodian that was gonna have a medical procedure, was planning on it unbeknownst to us. And they did talk to me. And I have been able to work with AGS, and we are gonna be able to do an accommodation for them, where they would join AGS later. In essence, they'll remain Board of Ed employees because the medical procedure is gonna be scheduled before July 1st. So they'll be able to stay with us, and then once recovery is done, and they'll be able to use the accumulated sick time, and then once they're released, we'll then join AGS. And AGS has allowed us to do that for a variety of reasons, but one of them is, well, if they're not gonna join us, I'm not gonna charge you for them, so we're gonna pay it on the other, right? So we'll pay it through our regular budget, but they're not gonna charge us for it, so the net is going to be
Cancels
zero.
out.
So, but I was able to do that, but that was a situation that we were unaware of that came up after our announcement. But once it became aware, I was able to sit with them and work that out. And the employee is aware of it. I think I have to go on record, just so that you know, is that the person closest to all of this negotiation to me as your business manager, this is a retirement benefit. They will have opportunity for retirement benefits with this other company, and
Do you know what the,
I do not, but I do not, my advice, my recommendation to you is to not do the payout, but the decision is the board's. I feel that you should know that that's what my recommendation is.
So you're saying option one, Matt?
I would say, yeah, because at the end of the day, folks, is the money is going to have to come from somewhere. And as I said, it's close for this year. And the thought of dipping into next year after all the reductions we've already made is not palatable to me. But again, this is your decision, and I will follow whatever direction it is that you want to go.
so theoretically, with signing on to this new company, they would have time to rebuild their reserves before they retired from the new company?
No, that, their building of sick time is not part of the new company's option. Okay, so they get so many sick days a year, and I don't like the term, but it's basically use them or lose them. And then they get replenished the following year.
And Kelly,
that's pretty standard.
but that's with regard to the sick time, that's why we really couldn't negotiate it, because they get a set amount every year, and then if you don't use them, you lose them. So the carrying over doesn't work for them.
Right, because it's a private company, not a,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to say to the board, I understand the challenge, because these are people. It's easy to look at, these are people that, again, didn't know this was coming. This is a change for them that they weren't expecting. And you guys are the ones seeing them in the public, whether it be at IGA or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever, and you have to face them. And so this decision ultimately is a board decision on how you want to move forward. Matt's feelings or my feelings on where this should be are not really, I mean,
They're not relevant.
they're not relevant at all. This is a board decision on how you would like to move forward with any sort of payout, if at all.
Can I just interject for a second? The individuals that have accrued sick time, it probably starts from an individual, let's say who's been with the district 2 years, to somebody who's been here for, let's say, 20 years. So the difference in payout is gonna be, you know, a smaller payout for that first individual because they only have, let's say, 25 sick days. Whereas the highest individual, even though they haven't attained 180, they could be at like 150. Okay, so you have, and when looking at it from the board aspect, just understand that some people are gonna be well compensated and other people are just gonna get whatever they have in sick time that's accrued. Depending on what we wanna do and how we wanna do it, you know, I get it because of the fact is, as I stated before, we deal in pennies, okay? But personally, from my own standpoint, and coming back on the board being new, these are employees that dedicated their time and effort to the town of Plymouth, okay? And to a certain extent, I feel as an obligation myself that I should at least award them with something. Okay, and whatever that something is, gets determined by the 8 members on this board, okay? Because the board chair technically does not have to vote on this because if it's not a tie, then it goes through, okay? So, I don't really know how to explain this to people. What dedication that we have as a board to these employees because they gave dedication to us. So, and as a new member, I'm kind of conflicted on where to go. Now, you individuals have worked with these individuals in the last 4 years of somebody that have been here. So you're gonna have to probably make some type of decision, and somebody should kind of make a recommendation so we can at least have a discussion about it.
Which one of these options is more closely related to what they already believed they were going to receive?
So the retirement benefit is in the top, what it actually looks like in the contractual language. So at the time of retirement, employees after 10 or more years of service in the Plymouth Public School system shall receive payment for 1/2 of their accumulated sick days in the amount of $50 per day, not to exceed a maximum of 90 days. So if you have 180 days, you can get paid out for 90 of them at $50 a day, which I believe is $4,500 that employee would receive. And so to Jerry's point, you know, there are people that have that max, they would get paid a significant amount more than someone else that might have 15 days, you know, so.
So to be like it is now, we're looking at options 6 and 7, right? Am I reading that correctly? Those would be most closely.
Those would be the
No,
most
it would be
close
like
to.
the even numbers.
Which ones?
Option 4.
Option 6 and 7.
Per day.
The one that-
Because this is half of the sick days at $50 per day.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So when I created this, just
Yeah,
so
but
you
it was
know,
like every 10
I'll just
years.
explain it. So you have the current language, then you have a no payout. That's as option 1 where it would cost the district 0. Then I went to, instead of half the sick days, I went to a quarter at half the price that they would get. So I got a quarter of their sick days at 45 max, $25 payout. So instead of having, you know, double that. And then when you go to the next page, it's still a quarter, but you get $50 payout for option 4 and 5. And option 6 is half the days and then the full payout. So, Mr. Foote, it's this option 6 and 7.
Similar, yeah.
And to align with the actual retirement benefit, it would be 6 because it's more than 10 years of service.
How about option 4 and 5, or the,
That would be at 1/4 of their days, not half.
okay, but
So-
they'll get a $50 per day?
$50 a day at a quarter of the days maxed at 45 days, which I think is $2,250 for someone that's maxed out.
And is this something we're going to do just at the end of this year, not when they retire?
No, that would
So,
be,
no, we would have to pay this out.
When they retire?
No.
Sorry.
They would have to be, this was basically a payout to these folks that are being transitioned.
Gotcha. So it would be
So
happening
it would be
soon.
kind of a June 30th date.
Gotcha. So this money would be a one-time loss to our district in the amounts that you have on this list, and it would happen now, not when they retire.
Correct, because at the time they retire, they would no longer be our employees.
Right, right.
And what was, one more time, the number that you said we have left? It was 26,000. I know, but I don't think I wrote the,
$390.55.
oh, see, I knew I wrote numbers
You
wrong.
missed that.
I was really close though.
Jerry's talking about pennies and that's.
So realistically, options 6 and 7 aren't even on the table because we don't have that money
That would
to
deplete.
use. We'd have to,
It would deplete everything that I have, that I believe we would have. I also keep in mind, we have a very large project that we need to discuss with you later in the agenda. Any money that was at the end of this year, we would have used towards it. But just a reminder is there's an infrastructure project out there as well, so.
I would be open to looking at option 4 or 5.
Michelle, do you want to make a motion for that?
Karen, I'll make the motion.
For which one?
Option 4 or 5, we can have a discussion. I'll make the motion.
Can we do just one option? That way we can discuss it and then we can change it if we need to, just so that we're
All right.
narrowing it down?
I'll rescind my motion, make the motion that we look at option 5.
Okay, Jerry's making a motion to look at option 5. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, so Jerry and then Michelle for option 5. Now we can open that up for discussion.
Can I just share what option 5 is for everyone in
Yep.
the public?
Yep, go
So
ahead.
Option 5 is all custodians and maintenance employees. So you don't have to have over 10 years of experience in the district. They would all, who are employed on June 30th, 2025, shall be compensated for 1/4 of their accrued sick days at the rate of $50 per day, up to a maximum of 45 days. That would impact 11 employees, and the total cost of the district would be $16,730.
And that would take half of what Matt figures we have left, right? A little more than half.
A little more than half, yeah.
So
Now,
that would
if you-
leave us with
If you look at the original,
13th accumulated,
10.
right.
if you look at the original,
Kidding
You
me.
don't have to wait.
With the other company, they don't accumulate it. You get a certain amount of days every year, and then they go away, and then you get a new amount. But they could purchase long-term disability insurance, which we don't offer through that company. So there's different avenues to get the time, so.
it's fair, it's. So, with option 5, please keep in mind that this would be everybody and not just, as the original offer is to, you'd have to be here for 10 years, correct?
Correct.
So this would open it up to more people.
Well, it would impact, if it was 10 or more years, it impacts 7 individuals. If we open it up to everyone who has tried to at least accrue some, okay, it would impact 11 employees. So you're adding an additional 4 employees, which to a certain extent helps out the individual that may have been here for 2 or 3 years, okay, but it also helps out the individual who thought that they were gonna retire from here and then be eligible to get that $4,500 paycheck once they retire. Okay, the school district would just pay them. It doesn't go towards their retirement. They would just get a.
I understand it. I'm just saying that that's not how the original offer was. The original offer was anybody who was here 10 or more years. So those people wouldn't have been even eligible if it were to happen now.
Yes, correct. But because of the situation of where they're, of what, I mean, this all boils down to lack of funding that comes from the state, okay? It boils down to that. where all of a sudden you have to make cuts that are detrimental to the employees that work in this school district, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a paraprofessional, whether you're a custodian, whether you're an administrator, it all comes down to money.
Yeah, we know.
That's it.
Yeah.
It all comes down to money. And then how do you compensate the individuals that unfortunately, you know, especially the individuals that are at the bottom end of the totem pole? You know? How
All right,
do you-
so we have the motion on the board. We have the motion on, we have that motion, and it's been made and seconded. Does anyone else have anything to discuss about it before we vote?
Yeah, if you're looking at the 16,000, is it? My concern is district-wide phone system, which is down on the agenda, which we haven't even talked about yet, and that's a safety issue. And I don't know if there's a number with it. I know we want to take some out of the sinking fund, but I have a concern about that. I don't have a concern about taking out the sinking fund. I know the system is done. It's shot. And if we're going to take 16,000, I don't know. If we need extra money, I don't know where we're going to get it from. I don't know. I'm not in favor of option 5.
I support option 1.
All right, so we have a motion on the board. We have a motion and it has been seconded. We can vote on that, and then we can do another motion if this one does not pass. So if that's how we want to proceed, does anyone else have anything to say about it before we move on to
Do
voting?
you want to get ones out that are like definitely not?
Yeah, we can do that, but should we vote on this?
Whatever
since-
you want to do.
Let's just vote on this first so that we can then move on. Is everybody comfortable with voting on this right now? All right, so option 5 is what has been made a motion and seconded. So we're going to go ahead. Do you mind if I go person by person just so that we have the right numbers? Okay, yes and no. Mr. Showers?
No.
Mr. Bourbonnier?
Yes.
Mr. Foote?
Yes.
Ms. Tilton?
No.
Ms. Lucian?
Yes.
Mr. Perugino?
No.
And Mr. Zabushka?
Yes.
Okay. That makes it yeses, so that makes it pass. We just passed it. We're all set now.
So option 5.
Option 5, it is. Okay. Now we are on to item D, district-wide phone system.
So Matt, I don't know if you, so I'm gonna say this.
I'll give the details.
Yeah, we're struggling with our phone system. We have the same phone system as the town, and the town is replacing their phone system this year because it's dead, it's obsolete. There's no parts for it. We were grabbing parts years and years ago from districts that were removing this phone system, so we would have extra parts when Rich Trudeau was here. It's done. We're resetting our system twice a week, and it is a safety issue because we need to have that communication throughout the school for a number of safety reasons. So one of the things that we've been doing and looking into is a replacement of our entire phone system because the entire phone system is down. And Matt has the details of the vendors and some other information.
Okay, so this obviously started some time ago as we started to see that the phone system has been failing. It's been on our list of things to address, but it is slowly escalating up. The tech department and we've met with 3 different companies. We received some proposals from those companies. One of them is ABS, Automated Business Systems, which is a current vendor of ours. They supply our copiers and printing machines. We also met with a company called Fortinet and then CCI Voice. ABS came in with the lowest price and best service, and it's somebody that we already work with and know. Fortinet, their proposal was like off the charts high. We kind of just set that aside right away. We didn't even want to really talk with them. CCI Voice came in higher than ABS, but close. And what pushed us towards the ABS side is that their support is, their tier 1 and tier 2 support is local, as opposed to call centers that can be anywhere. We already have a good relationship with ABS. They're very supportive of our systems. They've been excellent to work with. So we do have a proposal from them. And the price tag right now is like $97,400 and change. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I apologize. I have the proposal, but not all the math.
So $100,000 roundabout.
Round numbers, it's $100,000.
Yeah.
What, I guess, what this, on the agenda for, Brian, is for us,
So,
for the board to agree that we continue to pursue this. This is a project that if we can get it done, we'd prefer to have it done over the summer. It includes phones in every classroom and new systems within all of the offices and central office. And they'd be all interconnected. It's all cloud-based. So there's the backup system, the hardware is not here on site. So if we have a hardware failure, because it's cloud-based, we won't have that issue. And that's part of what we're encumbered, we have right now, is the systems are old and we can't, we really can't maintain them anymore. So,
I mean, our hopes were that we would have enough funds remaining at the end of the year to take care of this project. The custodial piece aside and the decision made doesn't really impact or touch.
It impacts it by
$16,000.
Right, I mean, at the end of the day, whatever money we have at the end, I would put towards this project.
Right.
But ultimately, it's the sinking fund, and we need permission from the board to utilize those funds for a project such as this, because these are the things that we pull out of our operating budget with the hopes that we can either have the money at the end of the year through savings in oil or whatever else there would be, or we would go to the sinking fund. And so this is one of those things that has been on my board for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, and it's time. So.
All right, I would like to entertain a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools to work with the business manager to replace the district-wide phone system utilizing the remaining balance of the 2024-2025 budget and necessary difference from the sinking fund.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Showers, Mr. Perugino, any further discussion on this?
It's a safety issue. There
Yeah.
should be no question about it.
Yep.
It is a safety issue for all these schools and all our teachers and all our students. It's a safety issue, period.
I just have a question. So because this contract is in the amount close to 100,000, when you put it out for bids, you only got 3 bids on that, and that
So-
was like the best one that,
Because all 3 of these are part of the state consortium, we can just do proposals as opposed to an RFP. So what we did is we checked around to see who other folks were using and asked them to come in and give us proposals.
okay.
Matt, is there any reason why we didn't, piggyback with the town? Because if I recall, you said something about the town was having issues too.
The town phone system and the school phone system were kind of piggybacked together. And then when the tech departments separated, that sort of separated at the same time. Even though we're using the same equipment, it's been separated out. They were ahead of us as far as going through this process. And as Brian said, it's been on our board, but now it has moved up, so we're just kind of on our own, we're not tied together anymore.
Well, even if we're not tied together, is whoever they're using one of these companies, so like they're giving us a similar?
I don't know,
Oh.
because they have a different group who's making their decisions, so.
If I'm not mistaken, this has been on capital improvements since 2014? 2014, 2025.
11 years.
When I went to Yale, it was 11 years. And yeah, it's time.
All right.
Way to live
Wait,
it.
well, one more question.
Sure.
What is in the sinking fund now and how empty will that put us
Okay,
in
so
case something else breaks unexpectedly?
The current balance of the sinking fund with the most recent projects that we did right now is $251,979. But we are still waiting for a reimbursement for the security camera
The
grant that we
cameras,
had
yeah.
of $162,500, which would put the sinking fund at $414,500. I am calling the state literally every other week saying, hey, we submitted all the paperwork, when are we getting the money? And the answer is always the same, is we see it's in process, it takes time. I'm like, it doesn't take time to cut a check, we've provisioned well.
So
but
we'll
it's-
have enough to hold us over in case something explodes in the school
We will.
or
If
pipes
we take
break or.
$100,000
Go with the word
out.
explodes.
Oh,
We
sorry.
have-
Let's not put that out there.
I was just thinking like pipes breaking,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
been a lot of,
Things.
emergency
And there has been.
situations.
And we've made a lot of improvements over the last 4 or 5 years. If Mr. Mazon was here, he would tell you that. But, right, we still call this building the new high school.
It's
It's
not
almost
new.
20 years old.
It is
Yeah,
20.
I know.
It's 20.
So, you're right, maintenance is maintenance, we have to deal with that as we
Yeah.
move along. And this is just something that, right, is like most of our things on capital, we just keep pushing it out until we can't push it out anymore. And based on our conversations with John D'Amato, who's our tech director, this is the one issue now that keeps him awake at night.
Yeah. I
All
mean, we
right.
get a lot of those emails saying the phones are down.
We have a motion on the table. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 12, Business Managers Report and Personnel Report.
All right, so now that I've reported most of what I was
Yeah.
going to report, I'm just going to talk about 2 things, actually 3. Number 1, the budget for 2025-2026 is open. I opened it on May 29th, so the staff can be putting in requisitions for next year's supplies and equipment that were in the budget. Those items will remain in the approval queue until July 1, at which point I'll go in, I'll approve them, and we can turn over the POs and get that open. I just want to let you know that budget's open, people can put in requisitions. I know that sometimes you hear from people, oh, we can't do this, we can't do, it's open. Food service, when you get to look through what I put in front of your chairs earlier, you'll see that in the month of June, we had a minor loss, $840, really caused by 2 things. One is we had to do maintenance in all the schools for refrigeration in the month of May. And then 2, the cafeteria leads bought food supplies at the very end of May to carry us to the end of the school year. So when I figure out June's financials, I shouldn't have a big food purchase, kind of bought it early. With that said, we will have a positive fund balance at the end of the year, which is great. The downside to that is we have a pretty hefty unpaid meal charge balance. Teachers are probably pretty familiar with that. But the state requires that any child that we have that asks for lunch, we have to give them, we have to feed them no matter what, whether they have money on their account or not. And we do have a significant unpaid balance. When somebody asks me a question.
Will that cover, will the
Right.
excess
The unpaid
cover?
balance is about $15,000, and it should just cover.
Is
Like,
there any talk at the state again about covering the lunches for these kids? It is ridiculous. They're hungry children out there.
Kelly, I agree with you 100%. There was a bill on the floor at this session to go to universal breakfast feeding, and that died somewhere along the way.
Because
Okay?
in a
So
lot of
right
the big
now-
cities, they get all of their meals paid for, and just because we're a small town, we have hungry kids, and they don't get their lunches paid for.
Is it still a percentage? Is that what it
It
is?
is still a percentage, so it's interesting. The state came through and said, if you have 25% free and reduced, you can go to CEP, right? So that's Community Eligibility Program. And that's great, they lower the percentage. But in order for the system to work, your percentage still needs to be in excess of 52% because only the free and reduced dollars are what you get reimbursed for, and they have to cover all of the students that aren't free and reduced. So you don't get enough funding, the break-even point is like 52%. And I know that because that was my job prior to coming here, was creating those programs.
Right.
So I know that that's where it is. So we monitor it, and we're in the 40s, like we're close. But I'm gonna tell you that if we decided that we were going to go CEP, even though the state number now is 25%, we wouldn't be break even. So we're small town, as Jerry likes to use small town, and I agree with him 100%, is we're kind of caught in this no man's land.
Yeah.
Where we need to feed the kids 100%, but they've handcuffed us with the collection side of it. It used to be that we could say, you can't go on the field trip until you clear this account. You can't walk at graduation until you clear this up. We're not allowed to do that anymore by statute. So they kind of handcuffed us. I know that SNAP, which is the state lunch organization, is constantly lobbying for that. So I wish we say it was, but with that said, let me just finish food service.
Yep.
And that is overall, the program did have a successful year. And I want to thank the entire staff because they worked hard all year, and we did have hurdles that we needed to get over between extended absences and some personnel issues that we had to deal with. Is the staff that is working with us today really did a good job, and they deserve credit for that. And then lastly, Eli Terry Middle School, just to give you a quick update, is our claims consultant has submitted cost estimates to the insurance company in excess of $1.2 million. Now, we're not gonna get $1.2 million. It's the insurance claim game, if you will, but they're still working it through, and the insurance company has been dragging their heels on giving their side of what they're willing to do. But they have, as I said in the last meeting, approved $200,000 as an advance, which gives us enough to get things started with ordering the materials for the new gym floor and beginning the demolition of the classroom where the leak originated. Once the school year is out and we're not jumping through hoops here, there'll be an in-person meeting with Brian, myself, and the consultant to really talk about, okay, what are our next, I don't want to use the term next steps, but how will we escalate this? Because obviously the goal is to be ready to go on August 20th when teachers and kids are back.
What are they saying that you think is a timeline? Like, is that realistic? Are
Right
they
now,
saying 6 weeks? Are they saying 6 months? Like,
No, right now, I think that we are going to be okay. The gym floor may not be 100% at that point. It may be that we're still finishing it, but I believe that we'll be able to open at that school. That's my belief on June 4th.
because you can get started on
'Cause
the
we can get
higher
started.
priority areas. Okay.
The biggest thing is having the materials ordered, because
Right.
it's all specialty
Right.
Yeah.
stuff.
Do we have a contractor on board? They,
All working through
insurance?
the insurance
Okay.
consultant. Yep. It has been a godsend to work with them.
Yeah, right. It's a burden off you too, Willie.
All right, any other questions for Matt? All right, we all have the personnel report in our packet. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Falcone about the personnel report? Looks pretty straightforward.
I mean,
You have nothing to note?
no, I mean, there's a couple positions that are just shortage areas that we're going to be posted, and we're going to hire the right people.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, great. All right, we are moving on to item 13, public comment. Just like before, please come to the podium, state your name, write your name down if you haven't already. Okay, we'll move on to remote public comment. Nothing? Okay. All right, next up is item 14, board liaison reports. Harry S. Fisher Elementary School.
It's too early in the month to have had another meeting.
Yeah, makes sense. Plymouth Center School, anything?
Yeah, there's a few kits available for Build-A-Buddy, which can be ordered through the PTA Tree League. There's a few yearbooks still available for $25, or you could email the PTA and order them online and have it directly mailed to you. And the second grade gifts will be going home this week.
I did forget to say though, field day was today. I've heard from my son did not enjoy it, but he's not an athlete, but I've heard it was wildly successful. I know the fifth graders came home with some bike helmets. I don't know how that happened, but that was pretty awesome. And end of year stuff. So the fifth grade picnic thing is on Tuesday, and I'm sure there's other celebrations going on. I do want to just take a moment and thank all the PTA volunteers, because it's a lot of work to put that stuff together. And anybody out there who's listening, who's got a third grader coming in, and come to meetings, get involved, do fun stuff with the kids. Thank you.
With the bike helmets, there was a grant, it was a $5,000 grant for safety and transportation. I applied for it, and under trying to get every student at Fisher bike helmet, we weren't able to afford it because they are a little more expensive than we wanted. I just reapplied again for another $5,000 to get them for the rest of the school, because the way I look at it is when a child gets a bike, they get to a point where they outgrow their helmet. And so that's around when it happens. So it is something that we've been applying for. So hopefully we get the other $5,000 so we can take care of the rest of the school.
All right, Mr. Foote, Terryville High School.
The PTSA has had very successful fundraisers this year. It's been a pleasure to work with them. They're very dedicated people. And they're getting ready for next, on the 11th, next Wednesday, for their after grad event, which sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. They are going to be looking for new members for the class of 26 and the class of 27 as well. So, but it was a great year working with them.
Thank you. Ms. Tilton for Ed Advance.
Our meeting is tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
So I have nothing on that either. I apologize.
All right, item number 15, board comments. We're going to start with Mr. Falcone.
What I'd like to say is this is one of the best board meetings I've ever been a part of. And I'm going to say it because everyone contributed. This is a working session. We made some really hard decisions, and we're working as a unit. You know, it's very rare that I agree with Jerry, but but it's okay because he's sharing how he feels and what he thinks is right, and it might be different than what Michelle might feel, but that's okay to have those differences of opinions. And I think where it impressed me the most is with the custodians and choosing option 5. That's a challenging decision, and we were all over the place. But this is a working meeting and everyone contributed, and I was very impressed with how the board worked this evening, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Showers.
Just everybody enjoy the summer, and I'll see you in August.
Mr. Bourbonnaire.
Congratulations to the staff that has retired. I will tell you, it's probably the best thing in the world, knowing for myself when I retired. Problem is that you're gonna try to figure out how I did all this work while I was working, and now I have to do all this work when I'm retired. And you never ever understand why you had time in your day in order to do it. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to the Parent of the Year and the Teacher of the Year.
All right, Mr. Foote.
Congratulations to the graduating class, and everybody have a great summer.
Thank you. Mr. Zabushka.
I'd like to thank everybody. This went pretty smooth, and I enjoyed it. I have a sort of a funny story just that took place. When Dr. Bonnie Dowdy Jenkins received her doctorate, Mike Buzzy came over the intercom for the school and announced that she received a doctorate. And I had a class full of pretty much 8th grade boys that were on the sports teams. So one of them asked him, so what does that mean? And I said, she's the one that's going to be giving you your physicals for sports. That was the biggest reaction I ever got out of the class. It exploded.
I'm sure they like that. Mr. Perugino.
Yes, congratulations to the Teacher of the Year and Para of the Year, and also congratulations to all our seniors that are graduating this year. And I'm really impressed with the amount of scholarships that they received for a small town like this. It's wonderful. Every year they get over 200,000. It's just amazing.
Ms.
That's
Solution.
I just want to say to everybody, have a happy and safe summer. It goes by very quickly, and we'll be here in no time at all in August.
Yep.
Yeah, but you have it off.
Yeah, but just by like that.
Congratulations to everyone. I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. I know probably it would be great if you give more than one person Teacher and Para of the Year because so many people just contribute so much. So thank you to everybody, all the volunteers, all the students, all the staff. Hang in there, it's almost over.
All right, I also would like to congratulate all of our award winners this evening, and to our seniors. Have an amazing summer and good luck in whatever you choose to do next. As always, I would also like to thank anyone who came up for public comment. We appreciate the input from our community, whether it is something good or whether it's something bad. We are open to hearing it. It might seem like it takes us a long time to get to it, but we do talk about it behind the scenes a little, and we do try to work on it, but this is, it's a work in progress type thing. Our next board meeting, the next regular meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education is on Wednesday, August 20th, which is the third Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria at Terryville High School. Item number 17, executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session at 9:16 p.m. to discuss the following item, inviting Mr. Falcone, Superintendent of Schools, and Mrs. Malillo, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, into executive session. Update on a legal matter.
Second.
Mr. Showers, Mr. Foote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are going into executive session. Yeah, go ahead, of course. Regular session at 9:27 p.m. On to item 19, no action will be taken from executive session. And item 20, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn at 9:27 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Showers, Mr. Foote, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We
Have
will
a nice
see you in
summer,
August.
Yeah.